Friends, welcome to E-Pathashala in Linguistics. This is the paper that concerns language typology and language universals. Today we are going to discuss non-nominative subjects part 2. Earlier in non-nominative subjects, we have discussed the nature of the ergative subject constructions, and we have provided a number of clues, a number of evidence, a number of pieces of evidence to show that non-nominative subjects have subject-like properties. Today what we are going to see is what are the cases in which non-nominative subjects occur in South Asian languages other than the ergative. What are the domains of occurrence of the non-nominative subject constructions in South Asian languages? What is the nature of the predicate? Is it plus transitive or minus transitive in NNS non-nominative subject constructions? What are the subjecthood properties of the non-nominative subject? And what is the evidence that can be adduced in support of this? And then we conclude. The subject, as we mentioned earlier in Unit 1, earlier unit, non-nominative subjects part 1, the subject may be ergative case marked, it may be dative case marked, it may be genitive case marked, it may be accusative case marked, it may be locative case marked, it may be instrumental case marked. That means there is a variety of case marking of the subject in South Asian languages, and today we are going to discuss all the features of the non-nominative subject in Tibeto-Burman languages and in Dravidian languages and also in Indo-Aryan languages. So let us take the subject, dative case marked subject. Let's take a sentence from Tamil. Tamil is a Dravidian language. Kumarukku Antappennu I pidittu. Kumar like the girl. Notice that Kumar is the subject, like is the verb. In English, Kumar is nominative case marked. But in Tamil, Kumarukku, it is dative case marked. Let's take a sentence from Marathi, an Indo-Aryan language. Mulala dukkha zala. The boy became sad. Literally, sadness happened to him. Sadness happened to the boy. So, Mula is the boy and it is dative case marked. Dukkha, sadness, is third person singular neuter. Marathi has 3 genders: masculine, feminine and neuter. This is different from Hindi or Punjabi or Kashmiri or any other Indo-Aryan language. Marathi and Konkani have 3 genders. So, mulala, dukkha, zala. Zala happen, past tense, third singular, neuter. Why the verb exhibits neuter agreement? Because dukkha, the theme, is in third person singular neuter. That is, when the subject is dative case marked, the predicate agrees with the theme. Let's take a sentence from Hindi. In Hindi, Kumar liked the girl. Kumar ko wo ladki अच्छी लगी. Kumar dative, वो लड़की, that girl, अच्छी, good, लगी. Achhi is in feminine singular because it modifies वो लड़की, Kumar को वो लड़की अच्छी लगी. वो लड़की is the one that controls agreement. अच्छा लगना is a conjunct verb where you have an adjective and lagna to feel. So अच्छी लगी is in feminine singular because girl, the theme, is in feminine singular. That is, when the subject is dative case marked, your verb agrees with the theme in number and gender and person. So here you have ladki, wo ladki is in feminine singular, therefore it is achhi ladki. Notice that in Hindi, though the theme is animate, you cannot say Kumar ko us ladki ko अच्छी लगी. The accusative marker ko cannot occur in spite of the fact that wo ladki, which is animate, requires otherwise a ko, an accusative case marker. So the conclusion that we draw is, when you have a dative case marked subject, the theme has to be nominative case marked, as in 3, Kumar ko wo ladki, nominative case marked, theme अच्छी लगी. In sentence number 4 from Telugu to exhibit is similar property. Kumar ki ammai nachindi. Kumar dative, ammai, that girl, nachindi, liked. D is feminine singular because ammai is feminine singular. Therefore, the verb agrees with ammai, the girl, but not with Kumar, which is masculine singular. So Kumar ki ammai nachindi. Just as in Hindi, the theme cannot be case marked by an accusative case marker, in spite of the fact the theme is plus human and plus human. So Kumar ki ammai nachindi is the grammatical sentence. Kumar ki ammai ni nachindi is ungrammatical. So what happens, will Tamil and Bengali exhibit a different type of case marking on the theme, which we are going to discuss later. Then the question that arises is, what are the domains of occurrence of the non-nominative subject construction? There are several domains in which, these are semantic domains, notice that. There are several semantic domains in which a non-nominative subject occurs. Let us take the case of the dative subject. Dative subject or the genitive subject occurs with predicates that manifest psychological states and emotions, physiological and mental ailments, natural phenomena pertaining to body, perceiver of visual and auditory actions, to express possession and kinship. Also, the subject of predicates expressing obligation and necessity takes the dative case marker or a genitive case marker to denote a recipient and acquisition of knowledge or skill. Now we will present a few examples to explicate some of the domains that we just mentioned. Let's take first the psychological states and emotions. In Assamese, the subject is genitive case marked, while in many Indo-Aryan and Dravidian languages, it is dative case marked. Let's take the Assamese sentence. Assamese is an Indo-Aryan language. Tar khong utisil. He / she is angry. Here, he or she, the subject, is genitive case marked. Therefore, we have tar, where R indicates the genitive. In Malayalam Dravidian, the subject is dative case marked. In all Dravidian languages, the subject is dative case marked in such cases. So, avana, kopam or deshyam vannu. Avana, to him, kopam or deshyam, anger, vannu, came. So, the subject is dative case marked. The next domain of occurrence that we consider is possession. Possession is what a person possesses in terms of a concrete possession or in terms of an abstract possession. Like if you take a sentence like, Mary has 10 dresses, Mary is the possessor, 10 dresses is the thing that is possessed, so this possession comes under concrete possession. So we assign the feature plus concrete. To express concrete possession, the subject in Hindi Urdu is locative case marked. In Mizo, a Tibeto-Burman language of the Caucasian family, the subject is ergative case marked. While in Bangla, just as the case we have seen in Assamese, it is genitive case marked. The theme, for example, bahut paisa in the sentence is a lot of money is plus concrete. So, in Hindi Urdu, it is the nature of the theme that makes a difference in the case marking. For example, take sentence number 7, उस अमीर आदमी के पास बहुत पैसा है. So in this sentence, उस अमीर आदमी के पास बहुत पैसा है from Hindi Urdu, what we notice is अमीर आदमी, the rich man, is the possessor. And what is being possessed is बहुत पैसा, which is plus concrete theme. Hence, when you possess something which is plus concrete in Hindi Urdu, the subject is locative case marked. Ke paas means near. So in his possession, the rich man has a lot of money. So your possessor is locative case marked. Now let us go to the next sentence in Mizo. In Mizo, which is a Tibeto-Burman language, the verb nei is have. Mizo is the Caucasian languages have a separate verb for possession, that is have, whereas in Indo-Aryan languages and in Dravidian languages, it is the verb be that expresses possession with a case-marked subject. In Tibeto-Burman languages, especially in the Caucasian languages, you have a verb such as nei, have, you have a verb such as ni, to be, om, to indicate a locational stay. So you have a sentence such as Lalin Ting Tlang A Dor Anei. Lali has a shop in the village. Since the verb nei is plus transitive, as we have seen in the last unit, when the verb is plus transitive, your subject is ergative case marked. So Lali, which is the subject, is ergative case marked by the N. So Lalin Thingtlanga, village in, Dor, shop, A, third singular, Nei has. So Lali has a shop in the village. Telugu makes a distinction between temporary possession and permanent possession. Take an example like, that man has a lot of money. That means he is rich, but that man plus locative has money, means temporarily that man has the money, he may be rich or he may not be rich. So let's indicate temporary possession by sentence number 9. Prastutamu Pratap daggara dabbulu levu. At present, Pratap, a proper noun, does not have money. That means Pratap may be a rich person, but at this particular point, he does not have any money. So this indicates a temporary possession. Therefore, you have the locative daggara, near. If you want to indicate Pratap is not rich, Pratap does not have any money at all, permanently, then to indicate permanent possession, the subject is dative case marked. ప్రతాప్ కి డబ్బులు లేవు. ప్రతాప్ is the subject, key is the dative case marker, డబ్బు లేదు, డబ్బు is the possessed object which is non-masculine. Therefore, the verb negatives in Dravidian languages, especially in Telugu, agree with the subject. Therefore, ledu, the negative, exhibits agreement with dabbu, which is the theme. Now, in Indo-Aryan languages, your case marking depends on the thing that is possessed, as I mentioned just now. So, let's take an example where kinship is manifested. The subject is genitive case marked when kinship relationship is expressed in Hindi Urdu, Punjabi, Bangla, and Kokborok, a Tibeto-Burman language spoken in Tripura. And it is invariably dative case marked in all Dravidian languages and in Kashmiri. Okay, let's now see. Let's now move on to the next domain of occurrence, namely natural phenomena pertaining to the body. For example, somebody losing a hair or somebody being inflicted with some disease, right? So, that man lost all his hair. This is a natural phenomenon that happened to the person. Therefore, you have a genitive case marked subject. उस आदमी के is a genitive case marker, सारे बाल झड़ गए. That man lost all his hair. So the K, the genitive case marker, manifests. Since it is a natural phenomenon, the subject is genitive case marked by K. Let's take Telugu, a Dravidian language, where the subject is dative case marked, as in sentence number 11. ఆ మనిషికి అంత జుత్తు ఊడిపోయింది. That man lost all his hair. It is the man who lost all his hair. So, the subject is dative case marked and the verb agrees with antajuttu, the hair, in number and gender. Let's take a Mizo example. So, in Mizo, Lali is having her periods. This is something that that happens to a person. So, it's a natural phenomenon. Therefore, you have an ergative case mark subject in Mizo because the verb is nei, to have. Lalin til anei. Lali is having her periods. Lalin thi anei. Lali is having her periods. Or Lali is having a baby. Lalin now or naute anei. Lali is having a baby. Let's move on to the next domain, that is how obligation is expressed in some of the South Asian languages. The subject is dative case marked in obligative constructions in Bangla, just as in Hindi, Urdu, and Punjabi. Let's take a sentence like Reena had to go to 5 shops today. Reena ke aaj 5ta dokane jete holo. Here Reena is the person who has to go to 5 shops. Therefore, the subject is dative case marked because the sentence expresses an obligation on the part of Reena. So, Reena is dative case marked. Reena ke aaj 5ta dokane jete holo. Reena has to go to 5 shops. In Hindi Urdu too, the subject is dative case marked. As you can see, Reena ko bagiche mein jana tha. Reena had to go to the garden. The subject Reena is dative case marked. In Dravidian languages too, in all Dravidian languages, the subject is dative case marked. As you can see in 16, ni poye tiru from Malayalam, you go emphatic must go. In this sentence, the subject is nominative case marked. In Dravidian languages, the subject is nominative case marked. In Malayalam, for example, in sentence number 16, you see, Ni poye tiru. You, nominative case mark subject, poye, go emphatic, tiru, must. You really must go. So that means Dravidian languages differ from Indo-Aryan languages in terms of the expression, in terms of expressing obligation. The next one, what we consider is the transitive or intransitive nature of the predicate in the non-nominative subject constructions. What we want to show is the predicate in the non-nominative subject construction is always intransitive. And the theme and the predicate together assign the nominative case marker to the subject. Let's take Indo-Aryan languages such as Hindi, Urdu, or Punjabi, or Kashmiri. Let's take a sentence in 17. बच्चों को जुकाम हो गया. The children got a cold. So here zukam is an ailment, therefore the subject is dative case mark. Notice that zukam is the theme and the verb is intransitive. Therefore the verb does not have the capacity to assign accusative case to the theme. Therefore you have बच्चों को जुकाम हो गया, nominative case marker, nominative case mark theme, but you cannot say बच्चों को जुकाम को हो गया. Why? Because जुकाम होना is an intransitive predicate, to happen or to get or to catch, and that cannot assign accusative case marker to the theme. In Telugu too, a similar phenomenon obtains. పిల్లలకి జలుబు చేసింది. Children, since it is an ailment, children are the experiencers. So children is case marked dative. పిల్లలకి జలుబు, cold, చేసింది, did. The children got a cold. So our argument is that though the verb chase, to do, is transitive, the moment you have a dative case mark subject, the transitive verb behaves like an intransitive verb. That is, by virtue of the assignment of the dative case marker, the transitivity of the verb is lost. Why? Jalubu chase is a conjunct verb. Together, jalubu is cold, chase is to do. Jalubu plus chase, that is cold plus do. The predicate together assigns the dative case marker to the possessor. So, Pillalu is the possessor, children, it is dative case mark. However, here chase loses its transitivity, hence you cannot have the verb chase to do does not have the capability or capacity to assign accusative case to jalubu. So you cannot have a sentence పిల్లలకి జలుబుని చేసింది, as in sentence number 20. పిల్లలకి, to the children, జలుబు, cold, నీ, accusative marker, చేసింది. Why sentence number 20 is ungrammatical? Because the verb chase, which is transitive inherently, but in the dative subject construction, it is intransitive. Therefore, it cannot assign accusative case. In Tamil and Malayalam, Bangla and Assamese, the theme may be marked accusative. The question that arises is, since you have an accusative case mark theme, is the verb in the dative subject construction or genitive subject construction transitive? No, the answer is no, because the marker that is assigned to the theme in such constructions is not an accusative case marker, it is a specificity marker, and hence the theme that gets the accusative marker, case marker, cannot be treated as the object of the predicate. Let us take the case of Malayalam. I want a mango. எனக்கு ஒரு மாங்காய் வேணும். Venam is want, needed, literally. To me, a mango is needed. A mango is the theme, and it is nominative case marked in sentence number 21, and the subject is dative case marked. This is a mango, it is minus specific. When the theme is plus specific, then you can have an accusative case marked NP, accusative case marked theme in Malayalam. The child liked the elephant. The elephant is specific, therefore it can be case marked by A, the accusative case marker in Malayalam. Kuttikka Ana A Ishtamayi. Kuttikka Anaye Ishtamayi. The child like the elephant. But what we are trying to show by comparing sentence 21 and 22 is in 21 there is no accusative case marker because the theme is minus specific. In 22 there is an accusative marker that occurs because the theme is plus specific. That means the assignment of the accusative case marker to the theme in Malayalam, also in Tamil, also in Bangla, also in Assamese, has no relevance to the transitive nature of the predicate, namely liking. The feature of animacy and definiteness thus play a crucial role in the occurrence of the accusative marker A in Malayalam. In Bangla too, you have a sentence such as, whom do you want? Here, tomar kake chai. Tomar, you, indirect object, tomar, you genitive, kake, who accusative, chai want. Since it is a predicate that requires a non-nominative subject, our contention is that chai want, in spite of being transitive, it functions like an intransitive predicate. So, tomar kake, the K in kake, who accusative, is a specificity marker, as Prabal Dasgupta argues, and it is not a indication that it occurs because the verb is transitive. In Hindi, you cannot say, aapko kisko chahiye. That is, whom do you want? Why? Aapko is dative case marked subject. Kisko, a dative case marked theme. So, in 24, aapko kisko chahiye is ungrammatical. However, Hindi Urdu spoken by a Bangla speaker, often you hear, aapko kisko chahiye? Whom do you want? That's the meaning, intended meaning is, whom do you want? So, in Hindi Urdu, such cases requires a kaun, as in sentence number 25, aapko kaun chahiye, because chahiye, needed is intransitive. Alice Davison, in a personal communication to me, correctly points out, that dative predicates are semantically transitive, but syntactically intransitive. Let's try to understand what she means by this statement. Dative predicates or genitive predicates have two arguments. John likes mangoes. Ram ko aam pasand hai. You have two arguments. Ram is the person who likes, and aam is the theme. But pasand hai is an intransitive predicate. So, in spite of having two arguments, either in a sentence with a genitive subject or in a sentence with a dative subject, the predicate is semantically transitive but syntactically intransitive. Why? Because the predicate cannot assign accusative case. So, the accusative case we have conclusively proven the accusative case marker that occurs in such constructions is due to specificity and not due to the plus transitive nature of the predicate. Another feature that is important in dative subject constructions is the feature agentivity is missing in non-nominative subject constructions. That is, the semantic nature of a predicate in a non-nominative subject construction is minus volitional. If the agent actively performs something, then we should be able to say a sentence such as, John deliberately dropped the pen. Deliberately, intentionally, etc. These are the adverbs that manifest volitionality. Whereas in a dative subject construction, they are non-volitional because in a dative subject construction, agency cannot be attributed, it's only the... So, when you have a non-volitional predicate, you cannot have agentivity attributed to the actor. So, the adverbs such as deliberately, intentionally, volitionally, willingly, willfully, purposefully, consciously, voluntarily cannot occur in a non-nominative subject expression. So, we come to the conclusion that all dative predicates and genitive predicates are non-volitional. How do you express volitionality in Hindi? Let's take a sentence such as, let's take this expression, John Bujkar. John Bujkar means deliberately. In 26 you see, Pratibha ko John Bujkar bukhar aaya. Pratibha got the fever deliberately. Even in English, you cannot say this sentence. Pratibha got the fever, you can say, but you cannot say Pratibha got the fever deliberately unless she injects something to herself to get some fever. Pratibha ko Jaan Bujkar bukhar aaya is ungrammatical. In Telugu, too, a similar phenomenon obtains. Kavalani, deliberately, is a predicate that expresses volitionality. Saundaryaki, kavalani, kopam vachindi. Saundarya deliberately got angry. Saundarya is a dative subject. Therefore, kavalani cannot occur. The dative subject and originality mismatch with each other. That is, any sentence where you have a dative subject or a genitive subject, you cannot have a volitional, an adverb expressing volitionality. All the predicates that occur in a non-nominative subject construction are minus volitional. Now, the next question that we address is, are the non-nominative subjects really, are the non-nominative subjects really subjects? Do they have any property of a subject or not? So, now we will discuss the non-nominative subject properties of the non-nominative subject. Remember, Chomsky in 1965 claimed that subject is the first NP of S. Subject is the first NP of the S. So, all non-nominative subjects, whether it is a genitive subject, or an ergative subject, or a dative subject, or a locative subject, they occur always as the first NP of S. So this is one piece of evidence, which is not a very strong piece of evidence. So what we are going to see, just as we did in the case of the ergative subjects, is to see if it can be an antecedent to an anaphor, a dative subject, or a non-nominative subject, if it can be a controller of pro, if it can be a controller of pro in a conjunctive participle clause. So we are going to present three pieces of evidence now. And so, number one, subjecthood of non-nominative subject constructions. The first piece of evidence is the non-nominative subject as an antecedent to an anaphor. We have proven in the module on anaphora that an anaphor, the subject can antecede an anaphor, that is, the subject, an anaphor requires the subject. So non-nominative subjects also function as antecedents to an anaphor. Therefore, non-nominative subjects can be treated as subjects. In sentence number 28 below, what we notice is you have a possessive anaphor from Hindi Urdu, apna, apne apne, their own. So the possessive anaphor requires an antecedent. So you have बच्चों को अपने अपने घर जाना पड़ा. All the children had to go to their own homes. बच्चों को, the subject is dative case marked. अपने अपने is a reduplicated possessive anaphor in Hindi, and it has the antecedent बच्चों को. Therefore, बच्चों को is exhibits the properties of a subject. In 29 in Tamil, a similar situation obtains. For example, Malati got angry at herself or on herself. Malati is the experiencer, herself is an anaphor, herself is an anaphor. So in Tamil, the dative case mark subject Malatikku can be an antecedent, is an antecedent of the anaphor Tanmeliye. Malatikku Tanmeliye or Tanakku Kobam Vandadu. Malati got angry at herself. The dative case marked NP functions like an antecedent to the anaphor Tanmeliye. Now let's consider the next case where a dative or genitive case mark subject can be the controller of Big Pro. You know that when you have a non-finite verb in the embedded clause, you require to postulate a Big Pro as the notional subject of the embedded clause. Therefore, you have in a sentence such as, all children like to swim. All children like to swim. That is, all children pro to swim like in a verb final language. So let's take the Bangla example. Shob bachar shatar, sob bachari shatar katte bhalo lage. Shob bachari shatar katte bhalo lage. All the children, sob bacha is marked by the genitive R, and it controls the pro, which is the notional subject of the verb to swim. The next piece of evidence, the third piece of evidence that we are going to provide is that a non-nominative subject functioning as the controller of pro in a conjunctive participle construction. All of you know that the conjunctive participle, in a conjunctive participle construction, you have one finite verb. All the other predicates that occur are minus finite or non-finite, and they require a Big Pro to occur. So in a sentence such as 31 from Telugu, having heard the news, Pragati felt very happy. That is, Pragati heard the news and Pragati felt very happy, but having heard the news, since it is a participle, it's a conjunctive participle, it requires a Big Pro in Telugu, and so is the case in all Dravidian languages. So you have Pragati ko ye baat sunkar behad khushi hui. Sorry, this is the example from Hindi. Pragati ko, Pragati dative, ye baat sunkar, having heard the news, behad, unlimited, or a lot of khushi hui. The Telugu example is Pragatiki ee sangati vini chala santosham kaligindi. Pragati is the experiencer. Santosham kalgindi is happiness happened, that is she felt happy. It requires a dative subject. Hence, Pragati is dative case marked. E Sangativini, having heard the news, is a conjunctive participle clause. It requires a big pro. So, Pragatiki, E Sangativini, Chala Santoshamaindi. Pragatiki, the dative subject, is the controller of big pro. A non-nominative subject, such as the genitive subject, can also be the controller of big pro, as you can find in Bangla and Assamese. You have another clauses where you have the as soon as clauses, where you have as soon as the girls came to know of this, the girls got panicky. So in Indian languages, you have a big pro in the subordinate clause. For example, इस बात का पता चलते ही लड़कियों को घबराहट हुई. So पता चलते ही indicates is an adverbial clause which has the interpretation of as soon as. As soon as the girls came to know of this, the girls got panicky. But the embedded clause, the as soon as clause, pata chalte hi, requires a big pro. It cannot have a subject there overtly. So you have इस बात का पता चलते ही लड़कियों को घबराहट हुई. लड़कियां is the subject which is dative case marked and it controls the big pro. So once again we have shown from Hindi that in as soon as clauses 2, the dative case marked NP or DP can be the controller of pro. In sentence number 34 from Telugu, you can see a similar phenomenon. ఈ సంగతి తెలియగానే అమ్మాయిలకి కంగారు పుట్టింది. Again, ఈ సంగతి తెలియగానే is an as soon as clause. It requires a big pro. అమ్మాయిలకి is a dative case mark subject. అమ్మాయిలకి to the girls is the controller of big pro. पौने 5. Anyway, दो मिनट दीजिए. 4:42. In conclusion, in this module we have demonstrated clearly that the non-nominative subject behaves like a nominative subject. Let me repeat. Conclusion. I am repeating. In this module, we have demonstrated that the non-nominative subject behaves like a nominative case mark subject in terms of its occurrence as the first NP in an S with regard to several syntactic phenomena such as being an antecedent to an anaphor, a controller of pro, and a controller of pro in a conjunctive participle construction, and a controller of pro in as soon as clauses. Thank you very much.